And you can do that immensely by giving them the gift of your undivided time. Just them. Huge. Also applies to moms as well. That's primarily what kids seek from dads. Mothers, what do you think it is from you? What's that? Love through nurturing. Nurture. Kids go to you. May I? I get the permission first. Sorry. I have friends who haven't done that, and they are still paying for it. But it drives my wife crazy sometimes that the kids always go to her and they cling on her when they want something or just to feel love, and they, whether it's at the supper table or at nighttime for bed, and she says, "Why don't you always go to Dad?" Well, because you're the mom. You're the mom. They crave nurturing. They crave nurturing. And that goes beyond just ensuring that your child is clean, fed, warm, and dry. That's important. But it means that you do what you do, not because out of obligation, not because, well, I have to get done, but because you love them. And the kids know that, whether you're doing it out of love or doing it because they just want to get it over with. Nurture. Nurture. Kids are smart. You pick up on these things. Fathers, validate. Moms, nurture. But the thing is, though, is that we can go extreme and want to control. So if our kids don't do what they ought to do, perhaps it's because, in part, you haven't validated them, and the only time that they get your attention is when they do wrong, because then you have to correct them. A lot can be avoided by just spending time. Or mom, nurturing. We want to nurture as the kid gets a little older and they grow up, and they begin to, play further from the house. They begin to get their driver's permit, and they begin to, kids hold your ears, date. And then you want to be in control still. But is parenting about control? Or is parenting about guidance? I love this picture. That kid is full of life. Alive. And that's our goal. Whether we're an aunt, an uncle, grandparent, or mom or dad, or whatever. Or a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, whoever you want to be. To fill people's lives with love and aliveness. Aliveness. For me, as a parent, my goal is to raise my kids in a manner that they, when they reach adulthood, will be able to think for themselves and to solve problems on their own. To be self-sustaining and sufficient. To play an active role in society. And to love. Love God and love others. That's my goal as a dad for my children. But these goals don't dictate my success or my failure. That ultimately depends upon who? The child. It's my job to provide the best possible environment for that to happen. It's not about control. It's about guidance. Now, I know here, amongst just in this church, we span the spectrum. Some of us, kids are already grown up and older than me. Some of us are just starting out. Some of us have kids in between birth and 10 years old. Some of us had no kids. It still applies to all of us. It's not about control. It's not success. It's about providing the environment to foster success. And we'll be judged based upon how well we do to the best of our abilities. I also know that for a lot of us, our kids are grown up, and we can't change the past. Maybe we regret some things that have happened or that we've done. And we can't change the past. But there is forgiveness. And there is the present. Learn from what has happened. You cannot go back and change things, but you can still change the now. You can still change the future. With God's love and power, you can. But know this. Successful parenting is hard work, and it depends upon what you're called to do in doing justly, loving mercy, and walking humbly. And it's my prayer that as it applies to all of us, that we can maybe alleviate some of the guilt that we have based on things that we had no control of, or perhaps come to God and seek healing for things that didn't go so well. And God's there. Whether you're the parent, or child, the recipient, or the giver, God's there. And there is healing. There is healing. Let us pray. Lord, you are a loving and merciful God. You are the perfect parent. And we are by far not perfect children, nor perfect parents. And if you had issues with your children, we certainly will. But I pray this morning that you will guide us, that as we travel through this life, our journey of life, that we can walk humbly with you, acknowledging, Lord, that oftentimes we put up a front and showing others that we're all together, but oftentimes we're just a shell. Help us to be vulnerable. Help us to be real with our kids, with our grandkids, our nieces and nephews and grandchildren.